Thanks for clicking on the video. And here on our Mimic, we're going to review Doom: The Dark Ages. This is a video game published by Microsoft and Bethesda that came out in May of 2025. And nowadays, you can find it more than half off. And I thought I'd give it a try. I played Doom and Doom Eternal, but is it worth your time to play this prequel that follows the same relative game mechanics? Well, I'll answer that question for you. Obviously, there will be heavy spoilers, and I spent 20 plus hours completing the main campaign and various arenas. You could see here there are 22 levels. At first, it seemed like there were only 4 or 5, but they unlock as you progress. I'm going to run the intro or the first mission here while I discuss this game. Then later on, I'll show you clips of some of the other vehicles you can use, and then show you an arena battle. I'm going to spare you the clip of the end of the game. I did have it, but it got corrupted, so I don't want to play through the end anymore. So I will show you some arena battle, and that will give you a sense of what kind of game mechanics, weapons you have, and whatnot. The first thing to understand about this game is it is a prequel. It's set many centuries prior to the advent of space marines. It is set in their futuristic medieval time, and the Doom Slayer, he has a shield to utilize, and this lends to interesting parrying as well as a rush with your shield to engage in combat. I'll talk more about combat more in a bit later. At first, I thought this game was very slow and boring to begin with, but as I went through the levels, it grew on me. It has sort of an open world RPG sort of a mechanic. As you know, most Doom games, it goes through a level, get a weapon, progress into the next level, and then find another weapon, and at the end of each level you see a new boss monster, and that boss monster becomes a common monster, and you meet another boss monster at the next level. It still follows that relative formula, but this map, as I mentioned, tends to be quite open, and it has a almost like an RPG feel, which I know they were probably trying to achieve with this fantasy setting. As you progress through the various levels, you will unlock various skills as well, and with the combination of skills and weapons, you'll be able to access other regions of the map that previously looked impossible to traverse. And almost like Zelda, it lends to this exploration component, and yeah, it's quite fantastic. Unfortunately, some of these maps are poorly designed. It's not on the same scale as, say, From Software with their Dark Souls series. I remember there was one map on Doom where I got a secret key, and the door to open up the secret key was right behind me. Literally, I just turned 180 and the door was right behind me. It's pretty ridiculous. That being said, the auto mapper is well designed. It fills in areas that you explore and shows off various regions and locks that you may want to visit later. So I do appreciate that. I also appreciate that when you're playing the game, you don't have an overhead display like a radar or anything like that, except for maybe a waypoint where you may need to go. But otherwise, you don't have waypoints that show you where the next secret is going to be, and so that lends to more exploration as well. Just like all the other Doom iterations, this game has multiple collectibles, and the most plentiful one is actually gold bars, and they're scattered area. You almost feel like Mario sometimes, just trying to jump around and trying to get every single gold bar, which lends to unlockables as you do have a use for the gold. There's a marketplace where you can use this money to upgrade your weapons. Before I showcase the weapons, let me tell you the other negatives about this game, as it's easy to say the positives. So aside from some poor map design choices, another negative is really the story. It's nonsensical. As I mentioned, this is set in the medieval world, but obviously you can see there's high-tech gadgets and weaponry that go along with this style, and that's okay. But the story of you being this Doomslayer, you are held in reserve, sort of like a weapon, and you are shot off and sent on a path of destruction, essentially. It's really quite basic. It's not. I know Doom doesn't have much of a story to begin with, but the other two games prior to this, Doom and Doom Eternal, had actually a lot of engaging lore. I thought it was pretty cool. Here, you are essentially the Doom Slayer, and the gates of hell are opening, and of course, you're trying to stop all these demons from taking over your region or kill your liege. That, of course, is very basic and rudimentary, and I didn't find it engaging at all. So with the combat here, so you can see me use my shield to dash at them. It's a new mechanic that you could use. The shield is quite powerful, resourceful. You could upgrade it and essentially have 3 different skills locked to it and switch back and forth if you need to. But of course, you could just use it as a standard block. Despite the poor story and the poor pacing at the beginning, I did appreciate the combat arenas that are set up and the game mechanics, and you just have a blast shooting. It is obviously a shooter first and foremost. Aside from 3 different shield types, you also have access to 3 different melee weaponry and 20 plus weapons. A lot of them are iterations of a common type. For example, shotgun, a super shotgun, a rocket launcher, and grenade launcher, etc. Regardless, I probably went through this game using predominantly the shotgun as well as a machine type gun, and I think you could probably bypass most of the game just using these 2 weapons or whatever you pick. You don't have to use all the weapons. However, I was able to run through most of the game just using the basic shotgun as well as an assault rifle type weapon, as well as my basic shield and basic melee weapon that I upgraded all those to the highest stats. And I didn't really have much problems, to be honest with you. You may have to switch back and forth to get low on ammo. Some weapons are better for shield penetration, and other weapons are better for armor penetration. Regardless, as I mentioned, in the heat of battle, sometimes you just forget about switching out weapons, and you can just run and gun throughout most of it, just picking up ammo and shield and health buffs along the way. This scene I'm showing you here is titled Final Battle. It's actually not the last battle. There's one after this, but I thought it'd be interesting to show you that you do not just run and gun as on foot. You are also in this large mech. This is, I believe, one of 3 levels that features such a mechanic. And it's pretty cool. You are predominantly doing melee and punching, but do have access to some weapons that you pick up later as a dropship puts them down in front of you with limited ammo. It is interesting to play in this large mech, but your actions are quite limited. I'll show you some of the combat in a bit, and it might have been better if this was left out and they just did more open world levels with arenas. But I do appreciate them taking the effort to break up the combat with something different. But it is a simple punch or dodge type mechanic here, as you can see. But still cool to look at. There is another vehicle you utilize, and it's actually a dragon. I'll show you that clip after this one. And the combat with that is even worse off. You're basically using dragon predominantly as transportation between different arenas, but the combat is even worse with that. So I think that's all the negatives I have to say about this game. Let's talk about pauses. Obviously, the combat, aside from using these vehicles, is quite engaging. As I mentioned, I'll show you an arena battler at the end. And you sort of want to daisy change your actions every time you can turn and stun your opponent and turn them purple. You get to do an execution move, which if you do it, it will release health. So here I do it on the big monster, but they will release health, and this allows you to have better sustain. And the orbs are health orbs. So you want to do this repeatedly so you can survive in these long arenas with multiple rounds or levels. So here is the dragon. It's pretty interesting. It's sort of a large lizard that has technology to be its wings. So pretty interesting design. And you fly off. And yeah, when you see this, you're like, wow, that is amazing. But you can't really shoot or anything like that freely. There are some gun turrets at certain locations, and you can sort of lock on it and hover around and dodge and breathe out fire, sort of like that. But for the most part, the combat is very basic. So you're just using it as transportation, such as here. I'm going to land and engage in some minor combat here. It gives you a sense of the gameplay. So there are multiple enemy types, and of course they mix and match. Whenever you see a green attack like that, that's something you can parry with your shield, and if you do time it, which is easy to do, it's they give you a generous window to parry, and it will knock that energy force back and do damage and typically stun the opponent, which you're able then to execute and then get health from it, and you rinse and repeat. Here you can see some of the enemies have shields. You can check your shield like that. Okay, so obviously combat is very fluid here. It's running very smoothly. I didn't encounter any bugs throughout the game. I'm obviously playing this more than half a year after its release. So is this game worth your time and money? Well, at its current price point, half off or less, it certainly is. If you played the first two Doom or Doom Eternal, it's quite engaging to have the shield mechanic to parry and shield bash your opponents. This game has a very weighty feel to it. The other two games are very fast, almost like a Call of Duty soldier, just running and gunning, sliding everywhere. This is much different. You are a hefty knight in a way. So I do appreciate that change in game mechanics, and you should give it a try. Yes, this is still recommended despite the poor story and poor map design and some bizarre vehicle combat. This is engaging battler, traveling from one area to another. You will just enjoy the fluidity of combat, sort of like being in an arcade, I suppose. I think that's going to wrap it up for me for the official review of this game. After I kill the leader here, I'm going to tie in a clip of me going through an arena session, and you can see what that is about with spawning random monsters. See if you could survive a gauntlet. It's pretty cool, and a good way for me to just show you more of the game mechanics and different weapons within the game. So if you stuck along this long, thank you for doing so. Here on the channel Nerd Mimic, we like to present not just video games, modern or old. We also do board games, Dungeons and Dragons, comic books, and even gamer snacks on weekends. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And here, I'm jumping on the dragon again. and yes, you're just using it as transport. There is some side goals where if you could shoot down some of these transports, you can unlock the certain skins and things of that nature. But yeah, let's just end the clip there and run an arena right now. Okay, so thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully enjoy the rest of the gameplay and keep on adventuring out there.